Good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the S&P 500 for Sunday, March 6th, 2022. As Globex started here on Sunday evening, all the markets gapped lower. That's the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, all gapped lower and are continuing to move in that lower direction. Here in the S&P, the market did break the low of wave one, which I've now labeled at 42.83, gapping down to a low at 42.63, rallying just a bit, and has now dropped down to another new low at 42.53, and again is putting in a little bit of a rally. Now, what does that do to the count, and where are we, and what can we expect? Well, let me just start up. Let's take a peek at the 4-hour chart. That'll give us enough detail. This high up here continues to mark the completion point for the intermediate wave 5, the primary wave 5, the cycle wave 5, and dare I say the super cycle wave 3. Each time I've done that, the market tends to want to come in and tell me I'm 100% wrong, but I'm going to leave it there for right now. Now, what? Come on. Boy, computers get real touchy. Don't get touchy with me, computer. Come on. There we go. I'm going to try it from this angle. Come on. It's just not going to do it. Oh, man. Come on. All right. Doesn't it seem like somebody else is in my computer and not me? Let's try it. I want to do it. All right, I'm going down to the hour. What I am counting for right now, folks, excuse my computer, that this is the high of the intermediate wave 2. All right, so we got that up there. That actually belongs right at that high, and it would move as I pull the chart open larger. So what we're now trading in is an intermediate third wave. What's inside an intermediate third wave? 5 waves of minor degree, of which thus far we've had minor wave 1, which reached its low at 4,101.75. Then we had a minor wave 2, and that reached up to 44.1875. So we're now beginning to drop in a minor third wave. And what's going to be inside that minor third wave? 5 waves of minute degree. And I've now labeled minute wave 1 complete at last week's, come on, 42.83 low, and then minute wave 2 complete at the Globex high Thursday to Friday at 43.61. So that puts us in, starting on Friday in our session, into the beginning stages of the minute third wave. So let's just tag on all of the extras there. So it's minute wave 3 of minor wave 3 of intermediate wave 3. So in other words, we're in the largest and the strongest part of this whole sequence down, which is going to accumulate the 3 of 3 moves, because it's the minor 3 of the intermediate 3, and then it's the minute 3 of the minor 3. So we've got them all coming together. It's kicked off beautifully by gapping lower to start. So I'm going to open this one up, which hopefully it'll do for me now. Come on. Oh, God. It's just not wanting to be a friendly computer today. So we can see that here's the gap, and we're now starting to break lower. So what do we have coming off? We've got support at 42.34, I'm going to call it. Then our next support for the minor third wave comes in at 41.77, and then 41.1920. Now, where should minor wave 3 get to? Well, if minor wave 3 ends up being 100% of minor wave 1, that's going to be 39.34. But third waves are often the longest and the strongest. So on that perspective, I tend to believe that the minor third should get itself down to 36.35, or at least greater than 100% of minor one. So actually our next one after that 100% comes in at 38.20 and then 37.50, with the 1.618 coming in at 36.35. Now, how does that match up with the intermediate third wave? Well, you can see that the intermediate third wave is right below at 36.16. So what does that basically tell us that how this is going to unfold? Minor three can't end there, and then the intermediate three ending here, because minor three would have to end up higher. Say here, we got a minor four, then a minor fifth. Minor five can end up down here and here within this zone. So here's what I think is going to happen within the S&P. We should be breaking all the way down, likely getting ourselves down to 39.35, we'll call it. But I would expect it to be longer. I would suspect that wave three is going to be longer than wave one. That brings us down into this zone. See how they track each other now. Intermediate three and minor three are tracking each other. So I'm going to leave that the intermediate three would be anticipating 36, 16, 17, 20 up in there and down towards 35, 65. So we get a little bit of a zone on that downside. Minor three, really, I mean, it could, but that's going to push this intermediate third much lower. So I want to try to keep things into some form of perspective in terms of how all of this should really begin to unfold. If we're really getting into a greater detail, let me take it out to the daily and see what I can look at there. It might get a little crunched, but you know, we're talking about that this has got to fall. First of all, minor three needs to break below 41.01. That being the low for minor one. So I'm definitely looking for that. So we know that the 100% sits down in here. Then I'm looking basically for the intermediate three also sits down in here. But because this whole intermediate third needs to still unfold in its third wave, I think we can get all the way into this zone, both on the minor three, 4 and the 5, and the intermediate 4 and 5. So we get the intermediate 3, but we need to get the minor 4 and 5 in. So in other words, the 3 needs to come down, gets into here. Then we get a 4 and the 5 gets us into here. So we track each other all the way down, almost tick for tick, as this intermediate wave 1 has got to be, the intermediate third wave needs to be longer than intermediate wave 1. And that drives us down to here. This is where they all equal each other. I don't believe that that's going to be the case. So I believe that minor 3 could finish up here. And then we get a little rally, and then it comes down into intermediate 3 being much longer. But we have to keep things in perspective in terms of the internals for minor 3. Wave 3 cannot be the shortest wave. So again, I need it to break greater than minor 1 for that little extra cushion or protection that indeed wave 3 and then 4 and then 5 will get us lower. So that's my expectations. Now, what could we expect for tomorrow? Because I need to present the alternate view. It would be very prudent for me to do so. I'm expecting for the markets to continue. We have that support at 42.34 and then 42.15, and that is again for the intermediate 3. So I'm thinking it's just going to be light. It should not really pose a threat for the minute 3 or the minor 3. A pause, but not a threat. Then we're heading towards, after this, we have 41.77. Then we have 41.20. Now, if 3 comes down, I really would like to see this minute 3 get as close as it can to this intermediate wave one. Intermediate wave one should come down and hopefully, I mean, intermediate, oh boy, excuse me. Intermediate wave three or minor wave three, boy, long day. Minor wave three should definitely break 4101. I'd like to see that done in the minute third wave down. That clears that barrier. Then we get a 4 and a 5 to finish minor wave three, and then a 4 and a 5 to complete intermediate wave. So I'm still looking for some additional acceleration to the downside. We are beginning to see a little bit more now as the Asian markets begin to open and they begin to put in their views on what's happening in their markets versus the US. So I think that we're going to continue to see some acceleration to the downside. We're going to get bounces, but I'm not expecting anything too severe. Should the markets reach a low and turn and start to blast higher, breaking above the 4, the 8, the 20, the 50, and the 200, which is sitting at, okay, let's just review. The 8 right now is sitting at 42.90. The 20 is at 43.08. The 50 is at 43.27, and the 200 is at 43.35. If this market turns and rallies 90 bucks without much pause, it's going to start to leave 3 waves down off of the high. That's going to give us the alternate view, which would be that this whole thing turns into an X wave and we're still within the minor wave 2, and we're going to put in another ABC rally. That's the alternate view. And we already have a lot of talk that we're remaining bullish on all of this, you know, on the markets, et cetera, et cetera. It would just kind of delay the inevitable decline, putting it more out and relating it more to what's coming. So that's just where I'm going to leave it. Trade smart, trade the moving averages. They really will be your guide, upside and downside. They're going to be your guide. And trade with the Fibonacci, trade with the Elliott. Our next update will be on Monday, the 7th.